Thank you for writing this.
Sound is on? Yeah, okay. Welcome to this first opening panel, and a really good one, because it's all about mediation in this era of fragmentation and obviously of still raging wars. So there's a lot going on, including the latest US national security strategy that's just been released, and we're going to talk about all of this, how it affects all of you and all of this. Can I ask you first, Foreign Minister, since we're here and you're hosting us? You have written that, you know, as a small state, or rather Foreign Policy writes this about you, surrounded by larger powers in a turbulent region, Qatar has long excelled at projecting influence through soft power and cultivating global clout via non-military means. Is that the aim? What's your response to that?
Well, I think
They should be on, yeah.
I think, you know, overall, if you look at you know, the region in general, it's not an easy region. It has like a lot of history that kept this region with very heavy baggage. And what Qatar, you know, the way Qatar is situated as a small nation among bigger nations, we have also to make sure that our region is prosper, our region is stable, and basically our national security stands on the stability of the region. But as a small nation, we cannot become a superpower by military, but of course by, you know, reaching out through diplomacy, reaching out through investment, through partnerships. That's what creates really the footprint of the state of Qatar. And we believe as small states, we have a role to play as, you know, contributing to the stability of the region, but contributing also to the stability of the world. And what happened with us distinguishing Qatar in mediation, it wasn't like an occasional thing. It was a product of our geopolitical situation. That's why we are always aspiring to settle conflicts through mediations. And we have seen this fragmented world today. It's more and more needed, the role of those small countries.
And just quickly before I move on, there are some in the world who will say, why does Qatar host Hamas, for instance, negotiators, or has supported in terms of, you know, money and things like that in the past? Why does it, you know, host the Taliban? Why does it host, you know, many parties and you know, peoples that some would consider terrorists or bad actors? Can you give the world the rationalization for that part of mediation?
Well, when we are talking about mediation, mediation is a conflict between parties. And if those parties are, normally if you have like state actors, this is like always sounds normal sometime. But in our region, unfortunately, it's between states and non-state actors. And those non-state actors, if we don't keep the open channels with them, then none of those conflicts can be resolved. And this has been demonstrated and proven throughout the last few years. If you look at what we have achieved by ending the longest war in the modern American history between the US and Afghanistan, hosting the office of Taliban was for a single purpose, to facilitate this mediation efforts. And these mediation efforts remained for almost like more than 7 years in order to achieve to that result. On Hamas also, when you look at it, there is you know, all the outcomes that we have seen throughout 23, 24, and 25 reaching to the peace deal was only happening because of this open communication. Qatar is criticized for, you know, hosting them just, you know, for some very short-term political goals. Unfortunately, those people who are criticizing Qatar, those are the same people who are in need for countries like Qatar to have an open channel with those non-state actors. And at the end of the day, Qatar provide the platform, provide the forum for those parties to talk. It doesn't mean that we are taking one side or the other. Our role is to make sure that the dialogue is ongoing and the dialogue coming out with a positive outcome or constructive outcome that ends the conflict and ends the humanitarian suffering.
Kaya Kallas, High Representative for Foreign Affairs of the EU and Vice President of the EU. You recently wrote a column describing spinning a globe in your office and feeling as though the international order stands on the brink of collapse. But then you write, the reality is that things are not as bad as they seem. How so?
First, I want to start commending Qatar for their mediation efforts. I think, you know, Gaza we talked about, but also Afghanistan, Great Lakes, Sudan. I think in these times where we have more conflicts than ever before, over 60 wars going on in the world, we need mediation on different levels, and Qatar here plays a very, very important role, so thank you for that. Yes, if we look at the bigger picture, I think for all of us, what was the introduction of this forum as well, the international law is the one that we should stick to, because this is rules that protect the majority of